Good morning and welcome to our USTEER webinar. My name is Claire Sargent and I'm the USTEER Product Manager here at STEER. Over the next 15 minutes, I'm really looking forward to introducing you to our psychology-led soft skill training programme for sixth form students. And I'm going to leave 5 minutes at the end for questions, which can be typed into the Q&A window. Just before I start though, I'd like to tell you, I think it would be helpful to give you some background information on how I came to be involved with the course and why I'm so excited by it. Prior to joining STEER, I was Assistant Head Pastoral at a school in Bath, where we trialled the original USTEER app. Having had insight into how transformational it can be for students to learn about and improve their soft skills, I'm thrilled to now have the opportunity to work with the USTEER team to help a wider audience and work with multiple schools. Seeing these statistics, which estimate the number of young graduates doubling by 2030, and also this figure from a pre-pandemic survey by CBI, which indicates that a large percentage of graduates lack workplace-ready skills, we feel that this really does confirm the need for this sixth form course. Alongside academic and technical qualifications, soft skills are going to be a key skill set for students to acquire during their education. Many of you listening today will be required to implement the Gatsby benchmarks in your school, which are part of the government's career strategy for secondary schools and colleges, and which provide a framework for good careers information and guidance. The USTEER course enables schools to address 5 of the 8 benchmarks. By the end of the course, students will have had the opportunity to develop multiple soft skills. There are many soft skills which matter to employers, but perhaps the most important are these 3 of grit, agency, and agility. And I'll be showing you shortly how the course enables students to measure and improve these vital skills. The good news is that soft skills are not hardwired. They can be taught and improved by training, as the course demonstrates. If you imagine your brain is a kind of car, soft skills are what enable the car to steer on the social emotional road. People with good driving skills are able to negotiate traffic, read road signals, and adjust for the different weather conditions. People with good soft skills can steer healthily and safely on the social emotional road. Think, for example, of a student who can help a friend in distress one minute and then instruct a science experiment the next. They have good soft skills. So the course is designed for you to help train students' soft skills and help them steer healthily along the sixth form road and on their journey beyond school. Based on years of scientific research, we've developed a model of 4 steering biases, which students need to learn to steer to follow a healthy social emotional road, and which underpin lifelong mental health, strong social relationships, and effective work performance. The USTEER course teaches students soft skills through an understanding of these biases, or social emotional levers. And via an app, they're provided with real-time personalised feedback. They're then able to set themselves targets to improve their steering and track their progress. Once they've developed self-awareness of how they're currently steering and discover how they can consciously choose to adjust these levers or biases to improve their behaviours or alter their responses in different situations, students can then go on to learn how these steering biases, when interacting with each other, generate 8 different influencing strategies. And these are a form of social influence which can be achieved by steering biases into a particular combination of positions. And these can help students succeed in a range of school contexts. Students will then start to apply their newly acquired steering skills to develop and measure their improvement of the 3 soft skills that I just mentioned of grit, agency, and agility. In the USTEER course, we use real-life circumstances of year 12 and 13 that they will be experiencing then to train their soft skills, exams, interviews for college, work experience, leadership opportunities. For example, we'll focus on helping students to manage pressure, to help them focus and be disciplined, to help their performance in exams. And whilst preparing for leadership, the course trains students to use a range of powerful influencing strategies to build trust and understand their impact on others. The course has been designed as a fully resourced plug and play video-based course to minimise the amount of preparation for you. All the resources are available via the Teacher Hub, and the app is available to download via the App Store or Google Play Store. The Teacher Hub is set up to not only give you access to all the lesson resources, but also guide you through how to set up the course to best fit within your timetable, to support you with training requirements, and to enable you to import students and staff details to set up app accounts. The course is made up of 3 pathways to be covered across year 12 and 13. And it's very flexible in that modules can be scheduled at a time that works best for you. Each pathway consists of theory lessons and practical sessions. There's a total of 20 lessons and practical sessions. The theory lessons have been designed to teach in a 40 to 50-minute lesson, where students are taught the theoretical aspects of the course and the psychology behind steering. The practicals following each theory lesson, they're designed to fit into 25 to 30-minute sessions where students apply their learning using the app. And all the lessons and practicals are adaptable. The course is designed to fit into your PSHE or life skills curriculum with classroom-sized groups for both theory and practicals and led by PSHE staff. Or perhaps fit into your sixth form programme with theory lessons delivered to a whole year group and then practicals in smaller tutor groups. We have pilot schools trialling both. And so far, the PSHE route seems to be the most effective in terms of class size and consistency of delivery. But I'd be very happy to discuss what might work best for your school. The total teaching time will be a maximum of 15 hours over 2 years, with pathways 1 and 2 in the autumn and spring term of year 12, and the final pathway in the autumn term of year 13. The first pathway introduces students to the basic concepts of steering, with a range of activities to teach students about the 4 steering biases, to help them understand the strengths and weaknesses of each bias position, and help them see how different bias positions correlate to different behaviours. And there are lesson plans to guide you through every part of the video and all the activities. During practical sessions, students use the app to take an initial baseline assessment, and then take additional assessments to see how their steering changes in different relationships. And each time they receive personalised psychological feedback. By moving the slider and selecting tips, they see suggested actions that they can take to work towards the bias position they've selected and set themselves small targeted goals. So by the end of this pathway, students should have begun to understand how they can consciously steer these biases to alter their behaviours to be more effective or appropriate, depending on the context they find themselves in. Through a range of top sports, business, political and world leaders, students learn how the 4 biases can be steered into particular combinations to create different forms of leadership style. They discover how the most effective leaders are agile leaders, regularly adjusting their steering and adopting the right strategy for the right purpose at the right time. And this can help with training of your students for different leadership roles in school, mentors, team captains or prefects. And students learn how to master these influencing strategies, which are useful in other school contexts, such as work experience and exams. And in pathway 2, they learn how they can apply these steering skills to all of these real life contexts. Students are given specific advice in their theory lessons to help them understand which bias positions they need to adopt to be as effective or as successful as possible in each situation. And this is an example of an exam-related advice sheet. And then in their practical sessions, they take assessments to see how their steering changes in each of these different school contexts and set targets to adjust their steering where necessary. So here, for example, within the context of exams, they can see how their biases differ from their baseline steering. So you can see 2 sets of bias positions on the sliders. And so a student, for example, who we can see here with a lower self-disclosure score when it comes to how they feel about their exams, they may want to set a target to work on reaching out for help more and move the slider, which at the moment might describe them as being deflecting, to disclosing, and then select a tip to set as a goal. And this can then be reviewed at a later date. So the aim is to improve the student's ability to cope with the actual challenges of exams, the pressure, revision, importance of reaching out for help, so that they ultimately improve their performance in their exams. And the course then does the same for interviews and work experience, alongside showing them how to master and use the 8 different influencing strategies. So in the final pathway, students are able to develop and measure the 3 key soft skills to bring out the best of themselves and others, and help with transitioning to higher education and succeeding in the workplace. As students use the USTEER app, it measures their progress in developing the 3 skills listed here and that I've spoken about before, of grit, agency, and agility. And based on the students' engagement with the app, the algorithms will assign them a score and indicate where they are currently in comparison to other app users. So, for example, in the top 30%. By completing the assessments and targets that are set in practical sessions, student scores will reach the minimum assessment requirements, so no student will fail. However, for students to better develop their soft skills and achieve higher scores, they should be using the app outside of sessions to set additional steering assessments and targets. Teachers can remind the students at the end of the lesson that engaging with the app independently will reward them with higher soft skill scores. So the app measures their progress and it has tips to show them how they can be improved. At the end of the course, they'll receive USTEER certification to show proof of the set of skills that they've developed. And being able to provide students with an objective measure of soft skill progress and a workplace qualification to include on their LinkedIn profile is surely going to give them a head start when they're applying for jobs. It's not possible to get to a top-level position in a company without the ability to steer. This quote from a leading executive recruiter, Dan Hyde, is included in one of the many video clips from interviews with a range of experts who help reinforce the importance of soft skills for success in the workplace and help students see why steering matters. The app is very powerful at measuring these skills and giving students a qualification, but what's also really amazing is that they get to use this app for life. In a recent webinar where a STEER colleague interviewed a deputy head, he mentioned the value of USTEER for students, and I thought it would be helpful for you to hear feedback from the school who's been using the app. So I'm just going to play you a short clip from this webinar.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's have a sort of closer look at that, because I know that you've been piloting USTEER over the course of this term, and you've used a sort of previous USTEER. How important do you think it is to put the pupils in charge of their data, which obviously they will do in USTEER in years 12 and 13?
I'm so excited about it. I think to give them, I think it's almost one of the most important things you can give them, that ability to regulate, to look after themselves when they leave that Kingswood community or whichever school they're using, leaving. I think that's a massive gift that we can give them, and keep them as safe as they can, rather than saying, and I know it doesn't stop like that, but you know, you're leaving us now, you're off to university, but you've still got these skills that as part of your Kingswood journey you've learnt. And we did a pilot a little bit earlier, and I think I mentioned this to you the other day, but one of the most powerful things I was working with a sixth form group at the time, and one of the girls in my tutor group had always had huge trust of self, to the point where it was sometimes quite difficult to influence her decisions. I know what I'm doing. And when we were going through for the first time her data, and I was allowing her to look at it and start to interpret it, and we had the most, I sort of like, you know, those life moments where she said, so that's why you've been saying all the time, I need to listen to my A-level art teacher. And I said, well, that's sort of part of the journey. And it was the first time I think she really reflected on that huge self-trust, which had sometimes caused her issues. And I think, you know, the fact that she was able to take that away and say, here's something I might just need to manage a little bit more carefully as I move to the next stage, I think that's really powerful.
So I hope that's given you a small insight into the positive impact of USTEER in a school that's already running the course. We want to give you the opportunity to get a feel for the course and its resources for yourself. So following this webinar, I'll be emailing links to 3 sample lessons, which will give you free access to all the resources for lessons 1, 6 and 8, i.e. 1 from each pathway. So I hope I've been able to give you a clear insight into the course and the benefits of it to your students. and that you can now see it becoming part of your sixth form curriculum. I know I've covered a lot in a short time, but I'm aware that you may still have questions. Please do post these on the Q&A now, as we want you to feel fully informed by the end of this session. Thank you all for taking the time to attend today. Just looking to see if there are any questions coming through the Q&A window. We have been asked about whether teachers can see how the students are steering. And actually, this is something that we have asked the students about, and that feeling to them of having privacy and taking ownership of their data was very important to them. So the data itself isn't available to you on a separate platform, but students do often feel very comfortable sharing it with you. They'll want to talk to their tutors, talk to each other about it. So we encourage that discussion, but actually it's all about them starting to see how they are steering, their ability to self-regulate and take ownership of that, we feel is very important, and they do feel that too. So I can see I have a question. Just see if there's something. There's another question that's just come through now about pricing, and it's a very good question, and it's one that's not immediately straightforward to answer, in that it will depend on the size of your cohort and whether perhaps you're part of a group of schools. So I think the best thing to do is to actually contact me directly, and we can then have a discussion about how the pricing would work for your school, and obviously also talk about how the course could be best implemented in your school. So I very much hope that following this webinar, you'll feel that you do want to contact me directly to discuss things further, whether it's wanting more details about the course, how it can fit into your sixth form programme, or to request a quote. Thank you all, though, very much indeed for taking the time to attend today, and I hope that I will be hearing from lots of you very shortly. Thank you.